Okay, we're just going to wrap up this assignment number 2 here with lesson number 3. If you remember last time we created some arrays here, and we displayed them with this information down here. And just by changing this index number right here, we could get different people displayed based on that information. So if you see, the last one we displayed was Bob, his index number was 2. If I go up here and I go start, we can see, okay, Bob is displayed there, and that works out well. We're going to add to this though a little bit. We're going to add actually a text box and an event for that text box. So when that number changes, so we're going to be able to put a number in the text box, and when it changes, that's going to change whose name and phone number is displayed up here. So we just kind of make this a little bit more practical and useful in taking a look at our list of people that we created in that lesson number 2. So what I want to look for here is a text box. Sometimes it's just easier to start typing it in, and I can see text box there. We could use a drop down as well with select items, but just for the sake of this, we'll keep it simple. I'm going to rename this text box. Go to the properties here. Rename this text box text. We'll call it index, just like that. And if I scroll down here, and if I take a look at events here, the default kind of event when I click on that lightning bolt is text changed. Okay, and so I showed you last time how we can add an event by just double clicking on it, and it'll choose the default one. But I'm just going to actually show you that down here where it says text change, right beside there, if I double click there as well, it creates an event handler for me here as well. And so we're going to put some information in there. We're going to grab that whatever numbers in that text box we just created, and then we're going to turn it into that index, and we're going to be able to display different numbers as that text changes. So we're going to reorganize this a little bit. So I'm going to move all this kind of stuff here that we use to display data. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to put that within this text box changed. Now, the one other thing that I'm going to need to do there. Now, you notice that as I did that, it no longer can see, okay, because this is inside of here and this is inside load, it can no longer see those variables because they're not public. So we're going to move those arrays that we created up to the top and make them public variables so we can see them throughout this entire class. And I'll show you how to do that in a second, so don't worry about that red underlining for now. What we're going to do with this index variable is I'm just going to declare it, but then I'm going to also come down here and I'm going to say, let's go, we're going to get that declared, and then what we'll go is we'll go text index dot, let's go index equals index equals text index dot text, but we're going to need to parse that actually, aren't we? Okay, because this is a string value, and so if we want to get that into a number value, so we're going to go back over here, int dot parse text index dot text, and we could actually set that text box so it only selects numbers too. There's a way to actually do that, but for right now, just for simplicity, because obviously it would get an error if I put in a letter or something like that, or a word, we wouldn't be able to parse that properly. Okay, what we're going to do is we've declared index, new variable here, and then we're going to change that index value to whatever number is in that text index text box. And when we're going to do this is we're going to do this on the event of text change. So every time that text changes, we're going to have an event fire that's going to change this index value here, which is this local variable, into an integer, okay, for whatever number we put in there, and then that's going to display whoever we want. Kind of showed how to do that. So when I go up here, one thing that I said I needed to do here is I need to move these arrays up. So I'm going to grab those, I'm going to cut, I'm going to move them up here, and we're going to still see probably a few errors here because it's not going to like the way I reference those. I'm going to just clean this up, get rid of this commented code as well. We don't need that anymore. To be honest, we don't need this event handler loaded anymore either. So let's just kind of clean up our code a little bit. I don't need that stuff. What I do need though is I need to make, you can see how these arrays are functioning normal, and those ones that I declared after the fact, they're not liking the way I did that. And so let's just declare and put all those values in here right now. So let's change them to the same format as the other ones. In terms of first student name is Fred, and I can go comma, and we had Susie, comma, and Bob. I'm actually not sure why it doesn't like the way we declared them that way. And then we can get rid of this stuff, and then it's gonna simplify our code anyways. And then our last one is paid. We had here. I was just showing you multiple ways to declare arrays, and so it obviously does not like the way we did that last one. So in this start here, so we'll go like this, a double there. I'm just moving these numbers up here so they're declared right within the initialization of that array. And those are going to be sorted. So we've basically now simplified our code, and so that we have, it's got an error here. Let's just see what that is. Let's get rid of that event handler. Don't worry about this. I didn't expect that. When I got rid of that form load, it gave me an error. I'm just going to save that. You shouldn't get that too much. If you did, just delete that line that I showed you there. Anyways, now what we have for code, which is the important part, is we have arrays that have been initialized, okay, declared. They're public variables. I put them right after where that kind of class was created. I have an event handler for when text changed down here, okay. And so now when I run this, so let's just run my program here, I should be able to access whichever students that I want to access. Okay, so let's see how this looks. Okay, so when I enter number 1, that changes to Susie. If I enter 0, it changes to Fred. I enter 2, it changes to Bob. Now we're going to see that if I enter a number higher than that we're going to get an error. And it should throw an exception here. Maybe it's not going to do anything. Maybe it's just slow. Let's try 2 again. Oh no, it didn't throw an exception, but it's just taking that. And so the only ones that should function are 0, 1, and 2. And you can see those names it flips through. Okay, and that's basically your project. So that's all it is. You can see how that's more useful now. I can enter an index number in here, and I can get the student name. So now we're just going to hand in and save this project. So how we're going to do that, just like we did last time, File, build, and we're going to go publish, and hopefully I can show you how to do this correctly this time around. It's taking a second to load up. We're going to browse to our hand-in folder, which is under structured programming, so shared info pro 10, structured programming 2. We're going to make a new folder here under structured programming. Hopefully it'll allow me to do that. New, and we're going to call this assignment 2. Go inside there, and actually we're going to get you to make a folder with your name too. So I'm going to go Nevin, no, sorry, last name first, Morrison, Nevin 2, and that's the folder I want this to go into. Click open. Okay, and so that's the file path that's going to create my install package to. Next, CD-ROM is fine. Next, next, and we're just going to finish. And that should take a second, and then we should have all the install files we need. If you copy these to a CD-ROM, you can run your program from there. I can run a quick setup here, and my program should work as expected. Let's get in there. Install. And should be on there. And you can see that this is, I had an exception is thrown here. I don't know why it didn't throw an exception before, but obviously it needs a number value in here for that to work. And so we can just quit. So we're not doing error checking, but I can quickly run your program and kind of make sure it's working there. Eventually we'll do some error checking with that kind of stuff, but not right now. Anyways, that's it for assignment number 2. Get that handed in, and we'll move on to assignment number 3, structures.